Hello, in last recording, we went over the master budget for a service company using the music event planning activities. Because the service industries, they don't have significant amount of inventory sales or production. So we didn't really talk about the production budget and the related cost of goods manufactured, cost of goods sold, and the balance sheet. So today we are expanding the master budget to a manufacturer setting, but focus on the one we missed from the service industries. We are still going to start on the sales budget. We cover all of the operational budgets and pull the cash information as the financing budget about the cash receipt, cash disbursement, and the cash budget. And finally, pulling the information into the predicted financial statements. So in the book, when extending the master budget for manufacturer firm, so we use a related festive chair company related to the musical event. They make and sell chairs for this like kind of convertible, like sports type of chairs. So it's a relative simple product, majorly made by the fabrics and the frame, right? So that's like a simple industrial product. But if you make like equipment, vehicles, appliances, and clothing, they may require more complicated manufacture process and different type of materials and also labor cost. But that will complicate, add some more workload to the master budget. So for this fast chair industry and company, let's take a look for the sequence of the budgets and what additional budget schedules we add in addition to the service industries. So we'll have a formal production budget to serve the sales needs. And then because of production, we require direct materials. That's a major component of the product cost, like the physical direct materials. So in addition to our direct labor budget, production overhead, and then your SG and the selling expenses. And also to facilitate the internal management, we prepare budgeted schedule of cost of goods manufactured and cost of goods sold. In chapter 2 and chapter 3, we prepare these two schedules for the actual productions, right? So like after the operational activities. And here we are preparing for prediction, so budgeted. All of the table formats and the structure for the reports are identical to the one we learned before, but here the information is pulling from the budgets. We know the actual results yet. And finally, we have the budgeted balance sheet added to the other two financial statements. For production budget and direct material budget, they share something similar. Is about the company's finished good inventory policy and direct material inventory policy. Because the production budget wouldn't just repeat or copy the sales volume. There are some reasons mentioned by the book. Because the sales volume sometimes is hard to predict. You never can guarantee or like you are pretty sure all of the sales will happen as we planned in the budget. So you need to have a more flexible production budget to handle or cope with the different sales operations. And more often in these days, the supply chain may be disrupted or by some known reasons like war or global pandemics or as like the COVID situations. So sometimes we need to buffer the like materials or inventories to handle these emergent situations to avoid disruptions, like for the supply. So also the production needed to be smoothed, right? Rather than like abrupt production or stopping. So give a smooth supply to satisfy the sales volume. So by the different reasons, the production budget will be based upon the sales prediction, but with adjustment of the necessary information required by the company, or especially. So here is like a formula you can follow with the regular production budget to figure out the units for the production. So we need to start from the sales. For example, now we are doing the sales for the third quarter. Okay, so third quarter, you need to have the prediction for the sales volume needed in the third quarter, plus anything we want to prepare for the fourth quarter. Let me say like smooth sales or avoid disruption of the the supplies. So we need to have some extra inventory like made or purchased, so it's available for the next quarters. Okay, so we have a smooth transition from this quarter to next quarter. So those are the total units required for purchase or production. And then if this is a continued flow of the budgets, we already have something in the third quarter prepared by the second quarter. We purchased or produced, because that's like the second quarter is helping the third quarter. So you already have some preparations. We call beginning inventories of finished good. But if you are merchandising, that should be your purchased inventory, right, in the second quarter. So we plus the preparation for next period, but minus the preparation already made in the last period, in the prior budget cycle. And that will equal to how many units we exactly need to produce in the current quarter or current budget period. Okay, so that's like we need to consider both the ending inventory needs and also the available beginning inventory. So for example, in this chair company, they require the ending inventory equals to 10% of expected sales for the next quarter. Then we'll have the 10% as adjustment for the ending and also for the beginning. And in our case, so let's take a look for the inventory or the production of the inventory schedule for the whole year. And now you are looking for the second quarter, the highlighted. So in the second quarter, the sales volume from the sales budget is 15,000. Because we already talked about the sales budget in the service industry, so in the book they didn't provide a separate sales budget in the text itself. But these are the predicted sales volume in the in the 4 quarters. So 5,000, 15,000, 20,000, and then 10,000. So not shown the table, but just the numbers directly here. So in the second quarter, the sales volume is 15,000, but we need to get a 10% of the third quarter's sale available. So add a 10% of the 20,000 sales volume in the third quarter, which is 2,000. So that's adding that. So total sales, so total needs, total production volume, 17,000. Then with adjustment from the beginning available finished good inventory, which is 10% of the existing, the current quarter. So this 15,000 was already made in the first quarter, because this is the continuous budgeting planning. So minus the 15,000 already available in the beginning, So we got a total production need for 15,500. So that's exactly following the formula we are talking about here. So starting from the sales volume, but with adjustment for beginning and ending inventory. And this 10% is only for our example. In an actual company, you may have a different percentage, or you even can have different percentage for the different budget months or budget quarters, according to your actual budgeting situations. But once you got all of your production budget, we can use these numbers to prepare the direct material, direct labor, and all of your production overhead, right? So those are the supporting cost items for the production volume. When we convert the production to direct material, you need to take into consideration for all of the material types for each of the unit. For this chair, we mentioned is pretty simple, so majorly fabrics, and the frame. But if you make industrial equipment, you may need hundreds or thousands of different parts, right? So even the small screws. So one production can bring in multiple numerous direct material budget. But in our case, we only have two major components. But when you figure out the material, we are following the same scheduling. Even we are talking about the different type of physical goods, right? So this is the material, for example, the fabrics. And we need to know the volume, like square feet or square yards, right? So for each chair, how many square feet of the fabric we need, the quantities. And then we adjust again for the ending inventory for raw material, right? So you not only need to buy the fabric for second quarter, you need to buy something to prepare the third quarter. So that's like the same logic we use for finished good inventory. So you have the total material required, then minus the material already available in the beginning, so which you probably bought in the first quarter, or the expected beginning inventory, and then you can figure out the total material need to be purchased, or can be the quantities, and then you can convert to dollar values, okay, like the currencies. So again, so first you are converting, per unit we have the square feet with like 12, so 12 square feet for each chair, and you convert the production units to the material units as the desired. We are also using a 10% ending raw material or beginning raw material as adjustment. So adding the ending by the plus, adding the ending material by the minus the beginning. So we convert and found the material quantities needed for the 4 quarters. And then you have a estimated purchasing price. We are using a same price. Again, in real prediction, you may have varied cost per square feet. So we can convert them into the dollar values. Again, how much this purchase cost need to be paid as cash, or how much you can put on account as credit. And when the cash receipt or cash payment, the cash budgets, we need to use this information, right? So figure out how much cash disbursement needed for the current quarters to buy the materials. Then similar thing you do for the frames, for the second type of material. But again, if you have multiple materials, and this can, run into more numbers of material budget for each unit of the production. So that's a frame. Okay, they have a higher unit cost. And one frame per chair. Okay, and the company buy the frame from so outsource the frame from a vendor. They don't make the frame by themselves. Okay, so one like pairs or like one set of the frame per unit of the chairs. And they give you this additional information for explanation. And they did some further talking about the production and purchasing. Okay, how we can prepare the material to satisfy the production. Okay, lots of things related to the supply chain management. Even, with the lots of the worldwide events happening and the global outsourcing, you need to really be careful and make planning. Because if you buy too much, so we may incur higher storage cost, right? So because you need to have insurance and you need to have space to store the materials. But if you purchase if your purchase were not enough to satisfy the production, if we have disruptions on material, then you will have some other type of cost, like the idle time for the laborers. They don't have materials to make the products, or idle time of the production equipment, or if we couldn't satisfy sales to the customers, we lose customers' reputation damage, right? So that's optimization. I hope you talk about something in the supply chain management. And later in the appendix of the book, they have one topic talk about the inventory management. So how we make a reasonable prediction for the purchasing volume, or how many times, or how many purchase order. So optimize the purchase orders and the purchase quantities. And all they introduced the just-in-time or just-in-time inventory management, which was invented, I think, by Japanese car makers. They locate their manufacturing facilities close to their vendors, so material vendors, to improve the efficiency of production and reduce the material storage cost. Okay, means like whenever I need a material, I can get it quickly from my vendor, which is located locally, right? So rather than by a large distance. But again, in that case, you need to have a close cooperation with your vendors. I was teaching my Chinese MBA class. We were looking for some coffee, right? So like the coffee shops. For the coffee shops in China, currently they are building the coffee bean, like the processing of the coffee bean facilities closed to the cities rather than in the rural areas. Okay, like in the coffee, like the plant that's normally in far away from the cities where the shops are located. Now they are bringing the processing facility, like the coffee bean, this production close to the shops, to the cities, significantly reduce the material transportation cost and storage cost. Oh, that's like a comprehensive and business planning. Okay, that like involving more these issues going on. So if you have interest, you can check in the end of the book, not in the end of chapter. Okay. So appendix 3rd about some more inventory management. Okay, then we are pulling because again we are saving, so we don't put the discussion of overhead budget. They are selling element and general expenses budget. Oh, but you do have that. Okay, so production overhead because we need the overhead and also the direct labor cost to support the production. Okay, direct labor, you need to plan the labor hours, the labor rate. You also need to consider, do you allow for idle time? Okay, do you have a fixed labor hour to pay? Or you really can hire and lay off people whenever you need? Your HR labor policies, right? Because lots of the times the company have a minimum working hour, like 30 hours per week, or even you don't really need that 30 hours, but we are still paying. Okay, then that's change your labor budgets. And the overhead, so we have many different items to consider. You can use the direct cost and variable cost, okay, to make predictions like the fixed depreciations, insurance, supervisor's salary. Okay, so mostly fixed overhead. Then we have variable indirect materials, indirect labors, the variable part of your utility cost. Okay, so there is the overhead budget, because overhead carry a large amount of the product cost. You need to be very careful to ensure the accuracy and relevance of the overhead budget. Then similarly, we need to make all of the pure rate cost. So supporting, marketing, sales, admin expenses. Then for the production, we have related the cost of goods manufactured and the cost of goods sold based upon the production budgets, okay, and other related. So here we are doing something similar to chapter 2 and chapter 3, but with budgets information. So like this, we are pulling the direct material, like your material budgets, about the beginning material, new purchase, ending, right? So get your direct material and direct labor. This is for the whole year, not a quarterly information, because we are preparing the yearly financial statements of annual information. So total direct labor cost is given because we didn't prepare this labor or overhead separately. Okay, assume these numbers are given directly. So we have the total manufacture cost with assumed zero working in process inventory, but minus also assuming no ending working in process. So all these started have been completed. But we do have some ending inventory. So this ending inventory, finished goods inventory, is your ending finished goods by the first quarter. Okay, that's the ending of the first quarter. So the cost of goods available for sale is 90% of the cost of goods manufactured. Okay, that's give you 10% as ending finished good. Then we sold all of the other finished goods. And then we have the cost of goods sold. Then budgeted balance sheet. For this budgeted balance sheet, again, we need more information like the cash, account receivable. So assume we have those information given. The 3 inventories. And because we don't have working process inventory, but they do add some supply inventories here. Okay, long-term assets, liabilities, and liabilities is partially coming from the accounts payables, like the cash we didn't pay from the purchase or expenses we didn't pay, or even the unpaid salary and wage. And maybe your financing needs, right? So those payables, but this like number, we have lots of number directly given by the question. We not in all of the budgetary schedules. Then you can have your so a final format of the balance sheets, and then your income statement and also the cash flow statement. Which kind of the book trying to make this simple? because in this version they changed. In the prior version, they spent a lot of the time presenting examples for the manufacturing industries. Okay, so for this one, so they give the service industry, okay, master budget, then extended it to the manufacturer setting. So I think I believe those are the main master budgeting examples. Then in the rest of the book, so you see they have additional discussion on the assumptions and the predictions, because the numbers are really sensitive to how we estimate, right? So what are the estimation techniques? So with lots of the machine learning and the data analytics, we can build in flexible planning models, like the sensitivity analysis. So means when you are predicting like the labor, like the fringe benefits of your labors, or the pricing levels, we don't need to really use one level of the expense only. So we can use some probabilities or use expected cash flows, right? So you can give a range of the probabilities and to see how the result will change depending on the probability we estimate. Or because you just develop the formula or a schedule, then you change the variables like simulations. Oh yeah, SAP, I know SAP supports simulations and a lot of other ERP or prediction softwares, they really support the simulations. Okay, you can run different simulations and see the results or how that results will be sensitive to the variable changes. That's all of the technologies can help us to make the budget more precise and more relevant. And then they go over some budget administrations and also the human, right? So like how to handle the human side, and also how we incorporate the global operations, because there are lots of uncertainties if you involve currency conversions, inflations around the world. But anyway, so budget is really a important, but still a topic under continuous improvement and argument, right? So we develop those beyond the budget, zero budget, continuous budget, trying to make this financial planning and analysis more relevant and more useful for business decisions. Okay, that's all of the purpose, okay, we are talking about here.